He's three law firms on retainer. I don't know how much money is coming in, but I know that a lot of money is going out every single month for Diddy.
Not surprised. You know, we all know who he is and how we get down, so that don't surprise me.
We never thought we'd hear it, not in our wildest midnight YouTube binges, not after decades of wild claims sightings in Havana, or every TikTok theorist waving blurry selfies. But here it is. Shakur's own brother, Mopreme, just shattered the timeline. It's not a joke. It's not a meme. Multiple insiders insist the Shakur family filmed an interview where Mopreme, cool as ice, picked up the phone and dialed Shakur himself. And we're not talking about some static-filled prank call from the back of a strip mall radio station. According to people who claim they were in the room, Shakur answered, calm, alive, breathing. He didn't just chat about the weather in Belize or his favorite beach in Cuba. He said, and we quote the insider, that he'd appear soon to testify against his assailants. It's the kind of moment that spins your stomach sideways. Is this the long-awaited proof, the real plot twist at the end of hip-hop's greatest tragedy? Or just another smoke bomb in a world already drenched in clickbait?
The boy Puffy called me, though. Puffy called me back in the day. He called me, he was like, I just want you to know I ain't have nothing to do with your brother's,
That's where the tension ignites. For almost 30 years, everyone, from record label interns to conspiracy authors, has tried to decode what really happened that night in Las Vegas. Fans still remember the scene, Shakur, just 25, in the passenger seat with Suge Knight, minutes after leaving the ring lights of the MGM Grand, the bullets, the black BMW, the slow spiral of police sirens and hospital lights. In the aftermath, we watched his mother speak of her son's quiet exit. We read the coroner's report, scrutinized the autopsy photo, pored over every contradiction. Why wasn't Shakur wearing his vest? Why did no one catch the shooter's face on the strip's busiest? Even now, nobody trusts the official story. Too many open questions, too much money, too much history erased with a shrug. And still, all these years later, here's Mopreme Shakur, sitting in a studio, all cryptic glances and measured answers, raising the possibility that everything we know might be wrong.
I just get right on the side of his head and just start talking to him in his ear. Just talking to him.
He never looks rattled, never loses the mask. During the interview, we're told Mopreme's voice doesn't crack. He doesn't reach for tears or anger. Instead, there's that careful pause, like he's weighing secrets he's held since childhood, secrets that might finally matter in a courtroom, not just a YouTube comment section. According to the leak, Shakur's own words through the phone, no, let's just call it what it is, a resurrection, drop the ultimate promise. He's alive, and he's about to testify. But testify against whom? That's where the story turns radioactive. Because if even a fraction of this is real, there's one man in America who should be sweating bullets. Sean Diddy comes.
I mean, that's Puffy's homie. You know what I mean? They have a relationship. They're friendly. They know each other.
Let's not tiptoe around it. Diddy has been the gravitational center of this rumor for years. Sometimes outright accused, sometimes coyly alluded to, sometimes rapping about diamonds while legal teams put out the fires. But right now, he's trapped in a nightmare of his own. Indicted on racketeering, facing a human trafficking trial in federal court, denied bail, and accused by over 100 victims of orchestrating an empire of coercion and exploitation. Just this month, prosecutors admitted in open court that one of their key witnesses, victim 3, has vanished. The defense is already sharpening its knives, arguing that some of these stories are consensual freak-offs, but the prosecutors, Homeland Security, and a who's who of federal agents seem unconvinced. Diddy could spend the rest of his life in a cell if the feds get their way. So the last thing he needs is a headline saying Shakur's ghost just RSVP'd to testify.
PD named Diddy 77 times in court documents related to Tupac's.
And it's not just Mopreme's suspicion. Over and over, the name Diddy echoes through sworn police interviews, wiretapped confessions, and transcripts thick enough to choke a lawyer. Take Dwayne Keefe D. Davis, the former Compton gang boss currently awaiting his own trial for the Las Vegas shooting. Prosecutors say Keefe D. confessed again and again that Diddy offered him millions to take out Shakur and Suge Knight. Keefe D's version is blunt. After Shakur released Hit 'Em Up, torching the East Coast with verses aimed straight at Bad Boy Records, Diddy snapped. I'll give anything for that dude head, Keefe D claims Diddy told him in a room with 45 witnesses. He didn't write a check himself, but Keefe D says the cash flowed through an associate called Zip, who pocketed the alleged bounty. In his own words, we was like, damn, we can get paid now. Court records show Diddy's name came up 47 times in the police transcript. That's not just a rumor, that's a legal paper trail. The most devoted hard Diddy fans, the same ones who once bet their lives he was bulletproof, are starting to hedge their bets. The story now is less about platinum records and more about hidden phone calls, missing witnesses, and a judge who just denied bail for the third time. the world watching as Diddy sits in a federal courtroom trying to explain away freak-off videos and stories of a criminal empire that sounds more like a streaming documentary than a pop star's memoir. As the prosecution lines up former partners, ex-employees, and supposed consenting adults, one question pulses beneath every headline. What does Diddy know about that night in Vegas, and why does he look so much more nervous than he ever did on stage?
I'm quite sure everything, I am death row. Suge Knight is death row. So I'm quite sure, before it's said and done, all eyes on me and Machiavelli out of Fox have definitely come back to me.
Mopreme, meanwhile, isn't letting the pressure crack his poker face. The truth is still yet to come out, so we gonna see, he told Piers Morgan when pressed about Diddy's denials. Not the angry, grieving brother we might expect after all these years, but a man holding cards close, refusing to draw any conclusions before the final hand. Even when Morgan pushes, do you think Diddy was lying? Mopreme just shrugs. Quite possibly, and it's kind of looking that way in my opinion. You can almost feel the room tighten, the old wounds leaking just enough suspicion to keep the story alive. It's no secret the Shakur family has always viewed Diddy's denials with a side eye. Now, with the family hiring celebrity attorney Alex Spiro, yes, that Alex Spiro, the same lawyer who just beat the Rust shooting charges for Alec Baldwin, the search for answers is officially in overdrive. Alec Baldwin has filed shape.
As far as, is he going to turn people in? Is he going to cooperate? If the federal government wants him to cooperate and they're going to cut his time, because right now he's looking at 15 to life. With all the charges he had to, he won't get out till 70 years old. He about 70, that's when they start talking about letting him come to a halfway house.
So where does this all lead? If Mopreme's call is real, then Shakur is not just the world's most legendary rapper, he's also the government's newest star witness. Suddenly, all the wildest conspiracy threads from the 1990s Cuba sightings, body doubles, the cryptic Machiavelli clues, the mysterious posthumous albums, don't seem quite so wild. Michael Nice, the bodyguard who swore he helped fly Shakur to safety, always insisted the story made sense. Why you think nobody been arrested if they said they the one that did it? 'Cause Shakur not gone. If he was, they'd be arresting those dudes for homicide. And then there's Suge Knight himself, who smirked in an interview. You know he's somewhere smoking a Cuban cigar on an island. The more prosecutors dig, the more the ground under Diddy's feet seems to tremble. And if the old rules of the street still apply, the math is simple. Everyone involved has their own price, their own paranoia, their own reason to keep quiet or to suddenly start talking. Keefe D, now cornered in a Nevada cell, has already shown the cops he's willing to confess when it serves him. Former detectives say the reason it's all coming out now is because the old code is broken. Once handcuffs are on, the stories start to flow. Even the FBI's retired field chief, Phil Carson, admitted recently that the connection between Diddy's current legal disasters and the old Shakur case may not be just a coincidence. As soon as somebody has handcuffs on them, they'll sell out their own mom now. If that's true, and if the Shakur family really does have a living Shakur on speed dial, we could be days away from the kind of courtroom drama that leaves reputations and possibly entire music empires in ruins.
If that's part of the indictment, that's someone like a blackmail. He was blackmailing people to be in the freak-offs. So that's federal. That could be that's a federal charge. He can't blackmail people to say, yo, listen here, you did it once and you're gonna do it again. That ain't gonna make it with the government or nobody.
Everywhere we look, new details leak out. Court TV insiders claim the Shakur family has found new leads that the Las Vegas PD and LA detectives missed for decades. Diddy, for his part, has always called the homicide accusations completely ridiculous. But his name keeps surfacing in police transcripts, documentaries, even in the memoirs of the men who say they were in the car that night. As one former detective put it, it's been the worst kept secret in Compton. And still, nobody wants to be the first to say it in open court. At least, not yet.
Your own platform. He said this on your platform that he put up $1 million to get Pac in.
Yeah, correct. He was around Puffy and Puffy made a comment.
All the while, Diddy's world is shrinking. 2 of his mansions raided by the feds, his chief of staff, compared to Ghislaine Maxwell, under scrutiny for allegedly arranging his infamous parties. More lawsuits drop every week, former friends and industry insiders suddenly eager to talk. The family of Notorious B.I.G., who was gunned down just months after Shakur, are also watching. The timeline has never been messier, the stakes never higher. And now the ultimate chess move. The Shakur family's legal team, led by Spiro, is reportedly preparing to subpoena records, pursue wrongful passing claims, and drag the hip-hop rivalry from the shadows of the 1990s into the bright light of federal court in 2025. Spiro is the same attorney now representing NYC's embattled mayor on bribery charges. He doesn't take losing cases. We can feel the tension as everyone, prosecutors, defense teams, fans, haters, even the holdouts who believe Shakur sipping rum in Havana, waits for the next bombshell.
I always said, Keisha, I'm not gonna live, you know, past a certain time, or, you know, I know I'm gonna get shot up. He knew that. That was, you know, the one thing that he did know.
Of course, nobody's talking on the record. Not Diddy's team, not the Las Vegas cops, not the U.S. Attorney's Office, not Mopreme himself. But the rumors are boiling over. Behind closed doors, the family's investigators are hunting for witnesses, searching for bank records, retracing every step from the Vegas Strip to the Caribbean. Even the conspiracy theorists sound less crazy now. The posthumous albums, The Exit, Shakur, Enter, Machiavelli, liner notes, the misspelled coroner's report, all fuel for a fire that's burned for nearly 3 decades. The real question, the one nobody dares ask out loud, if Shakur really is alive, what's been keeping him hidden all these years? Fear, a private deal with law enforcement, or just the world's most epic long game, waiting for the perfect moment to burn it all down? One thing's for sure, Diddy, once the king of the charts, is no longer the king of anything except nervous glances in the courtroom. Every legal expert agrees, if even a fraction of these new allegations stick, he's staring at a sentence longer than his discography. And if Shakur steps into the witness box, all bets are off.
Now, why was he calling me?
Mopreme's interview is rumored to drop any day now. The family's lawyers are moving behind the scenes. Industry gossip says Diddy's inner circle is melting under the pressure. Some insiders even leaking rumors of secret deals to keep certain names off subpoenas. But the Shakur family doesn't look like they're backing down. This is the moment we've all been waiting for, the crossroads where myth crashes headfirst into reality. And the question on everyone's mind, why is Diddy, once untouchable, suddenly so afraid to blink? Could this be the unraveling of all the lies, the final act where the world finally sees who's been pulling the strings? And still, the question haunts every corner of the internet and every late-night barbershop debate. If Shakur really picked up that phone, where has he been all this time? We follow the whispers to Havana's sun-bleached streets, where the story bends from plausible to downright cinematic. Some say Shakur struck a desperate deal at the edge of life and stardom, one that involved far more than a fake autopsy or a handful of tight-lipped insiders. The old theory claims Fidel Castro himself agreed to shelter Shakur in Cuba, giving him a new identity in exchange for one thing: utter silence, no interviews, no new music, no threats to the regime or the international chessboard. Just a ghost among the living, shielded by the same power that has hidden U.S. fugitives and political rebels for decades. And there's one more thread the skeptics can't ignore. Shakur's own aunt, Asada Shakur, has lived on Cuban soil since the 80s, protected by asylum after fleeing a U.S. prison. Even the FBI hasn't been able to bring her home, despite decades of diplomatic pressure. If anyone in the Shakur bloodline knew how to vanish, it would be her. The possibility that Shakur found the same back door, welcomed by a network that knew every trick and every sympathetic official, suddenly doesn't sound quite so far-fetched. Multiple sources over the years, ranging from Michael Nice, a former security officer, to anonymous U.S. officials, have described a wild but curiously consistent scenario. Shakur's escape involved not just decoys and switched bodies, but actual flights out of the country. A midnight jet to Barbados, then a hop to Cuba under the eyes of trusted Black Panther loyalists. The man who once screamed his truth in front of stadiums now blending in among Cuban locals, always one step ahead of the cameras.
Chaotic. It's hard to actually figure out what's what, but it's becoming clearer. It's becoming clearer and clearer, but...
If true, that life would be lonely. The price of survival would be silence, decades spent watching headlines spin about your own fate, your friends' betrayals, and your enemies' victories. From time to time, a blurry photo or a tall tale from a Havana taxi driver would surface. A man who looked a lot like Shakur, a familiar walk, a gold chain glinting in the Caribbean sun. But each sighting vanished as quickly as it appeared. We hear the rumors that Shakur still records music in private studios, that his voice can be heard on bootleg tracks passed from hand to hand in the Cuban underground. But nothing sticks. Not a single piece of hard evidence, not a single on-the-record statement from Cuban officials or the Shakur family. That vacuum only amplifies the myth. Was exile Shakur's only escape from an industry where trust could get you harmed? All of this might have remained tabloid fantasy, a footnote to hip-hop history, if not for the timing of Diddy's spectacular downfall. The same month Mopreme's bombshell interview is set to drop, Diddy's world is going up in smoke. It's not just the racketeering or the wave of personal lawsuits. It's the sudden, chilling possibility that everything is connected. The old story of Diddy offering a multi-million-dollar fear bounty for Shakur's head, once shrugged off as gangster fantasy, is now echoed in court filings and whispered by the very men who orchestrated that fateful drive-by. Prosecutors, desperate to break the code of silence, have pointed again and again to the money trail and the mutual paranoia that turned the East Coast-West Coast rivalry into a war zone. And as Diddy's lawyers scramble to keep witnesses off the stand, a single phone call, recorded or not, could tear open a conspiracy that's already unraveling at the edges.
it sort of seems like, you know, they're trying to minimalize it to just gain.
If Shakur steps out of the shadows now, the consequences would go nuclear. Diddy's career isn't just on the line. His freedom, his fortune, and maybe even his legacy are hanging by a thread. But Diddy isn't the only one with reason to worry. If there was a cover-up, if payouts and secret alliances protected more than one music mogul, then the entire upper tier of the hip-hop industry could be in play. The stakes are suddenly far bigger than a single beef or a single headline. We're talking about the potential collapse of decades of business, reputations, and untouchable power. The silence that protected everyone, the silence that may have kept Shakur hidden, now looks ready to implode. And the question that keeps everyone up at night: has a decades-long conspiracy finally hit its breaking point? As tension mounts, we see lawyers working overtime, old friends turning suspiciously quiet, and investigators sniffing around every loose end. What happens if Shakur actually testifies? What if the government offers him protection, or worse, uses him as a bargaining chip? Would the old players risk everything to keep him quiet for good, even now? Has Shakur's very survival become the biggest threat to those who once called the shots? The atmosphere is more paranoid than ever, with every industry veteran wondering if the next leak, the next photo, or the next witness will bring the whole tower crashing down.
So they was placed to destroy the East Coast rap. And then along came a somebody. They was about to bring East Coast rap back. And there's nothing they could do about it. And this kid was finna put East Coast.
With Mo Cream's interview just days away from public release and Diddy's trial opening fresh wounds on both coasts, this is the moment where legends are either reborn or finally destroyed. Will we see Shakur's face, older but unbroken, step into the spotlight for one last message? Or will powerful hands bury the truth all over again, just as it reaches the surface? Every rumor, every anonymous tip, every sudden legal move, it all feels like the drum roll before the storm. So now, the real question. If Shakur is out there, watching all of this unfold, is he safe? Or has the greatest vanishing act in music history finally come full circle, with the world's most dangerous secrets ready to explode? Let us know your wildest theories down below. Are you Team Shakur is alive? Or do you think this is the last gasp of hip-hop's greatest mystery? Drop your comments, hit subscribe, and stick with us as the next chapter in this saga unfolds. Until then, stay sharp, stay curious, and remember, in the world of celebrity secrets, nothing is ever truly over.